Like legit. Welcome. I'm Cantor Greenberg. Hi. We know each other. Good to see you. Right. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Just a little beautiful music to bring us into Shabbat gently. It's hard, right? Who says that once we light the candles, our nervous system has seen or experienced anything from the candles? Sometimes we need more. So tonight maybe a little of this music, beautiful music by my friend, and I'm not also a parent in the Shorish preschool anymore. That was a weird feeling. I was trying to say, and like another parent, a parent in our preschool, Nelson Navarrete, who is going to be making music tonight with us. We're going to turn to page 24. I'm assuming our rabbi Rabbi is on his way. But Shabbat Shalom to everyone who's here in the room, in the Zoomiverse, in the YouTubeverse, wherever you are. We hope that you're feeling the Shabbat love. We hope you're feeling it. Page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Hasharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch, Boachem l'Shalom, Boachem l'Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Malachi Hamlachim, Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu. Here we go, everybody. Tzeitkhem l'shalom, Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch. One more time. Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem. Malachi Hashalom, Malachi Elyon, Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh, Hakadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So in a moment, we're going to invite Daniel up, who's going to light our candles in honor of him becoming bar mitzvah tomorrow. So I'm going to invite him with his nuclear family to come up. We're on page 2 and 3.
Come on, Chris. Okay.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need and all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon chilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit ki hu yom techila lemikra et kodesh sacher letziyah Mitzrayim.
Kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Yishar koach. Well done. Mazel
seat.
tov. You may be seated.
So each and every day from Passover to Shavuot, we count the days. And so to do that, it's called Omer counting. We call up Ronnie Pressman.
So I know that many of you have seen this particular slide, but I wanted to point out what was on the left of it. Those little blocks are not so little. They're probably about this size for each of them. And the person that actually created that, his name is Toby Kahn. He is a Judaic artist and he lives in Manhattan. And he, along with many other scholars, have done studying with us for our creative Beit Midrash. And I just wanted to point that out so you guys had a clue what that was instead of going, I don't know what that is. Thanks. So you can go on to the next slide, Matt. Thank you. So we're going to say this beginning section to it, and then you'll chime in with the bracha. I made the letters a little bit bigger, thinking you'd be able to see them.
Good.
So squint.
וציוונו במצוותיו וציווה לקרוא את ספירת על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר, על ספירת העומר. What day is it?
היום שלישה עשר יום, שהם שבועות אחד ושישה ימים לעומר. Today is 13 days, which is 1 week and 6 days of counting the Omer. So don't just count your days, make your days count.
That's right. Rosh Chodesh next week. You can join me Wednesday evening, 8 p.m.
We're going to move forward now, page 20, L'chadodi.
לקראת קלה בני שבת בני שבת נקווה לך דודי לקראת קלה בני שבת שבת נקבלה שמור וזכור בדיבורך בשמיעה rise up on your feet as we turn toward our entrance. Boi vishalom, ateret bala, gam besimcha, uvitzola, toch emuneh. Segura, boi hala, ya la 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 khatuti, la 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 ya la 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 likrat, likrat kala, la 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 bnei Shabbat, bnei Shabbat.
Standing, page 28.
Together.
together, page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Page 32.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, משכבנו וכולנו, נשיח נאומך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. יהיה חיינו ואורך ימינו, ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, יומם ולילה, ואהבתך לתסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
Page 34.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד.
Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת אמת.
Move forward now in our prayer
Freedom
books.
shakers.
We're on page 40 as we join together in Michamocha.
We might have some freedom shakers on our hands. We've got some cool new shakers, thanks to Rick Van Horn and Crystal Van Horn. Here we go with a little shaking. Got it? Yeah. Here we go.
יד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני קהל ישראל.
Page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Amen, amen.
Bottom of page 44.
Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat
Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat
Thank you.
Mekadosh Shvi Shabbat Kulam yismehu v'yitlangu mitovecha Shabbat Shabbat
Shomrei Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat
רצית בו וקידשו שבת חמדת ימים אותו קראת
Let's hear it.
שבת
Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat
למעשה בראשית שבת למעשה בראשית שבת
Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat bekore oneg Shabbat Yismechu b'malechutecha Shomrei Shabbat bekore We rise together, page 46, and then we move into silence.
אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Together.
So just letting our prayers continue to flow. If we've gotten a little access to just at least a tiny opening, even a fuller, semi-permeable heart, then prayers are just going to keep going. They're going to keep flowing out, and maybe you're even going to keep breathing them in. We're going to set our intention to this prayer, this one that we breathe in. Olam chesed yibane. Our whole world should be mantraing this message. The world is built from love, don't you know?
Olam chesed yibane, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesed yibane, yadadai, yadadai. Olam chesed yibane, yadadai, yadadai.
Olam chesed yibane.
I will build this world.
I will build this world from love.
And you must build. And you must build this world from love. And if we build it, and if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. But through us.
As we do each week, we add a prayer for the state of Israel. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, we ask that you bless the state of Israel and all of Israel's inhabitants. Makor Chaim, source of life, bless and strengthen those who defend the land and ensure their safe and speedy return home. Protect them and guide them. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, holy and blessed one, show Israel's leaders your paths so they may act with wisdom, courage, and dedication, and that they may be unwavering in their pursuit of peace. Strengthen their hearts, but keep their hearts from hardening. Adonai Poked, God who remembers. It has been 566 days, and there are still 59 people being held in Gaza, half of whom are thought to be alive. Among them are Avidatam Or, 32, Eden Alexander, 20, Matang Zanguker, 25, Alon Ohel, 24, Guy Gilboa Dalal, 23, Eviatar David, 24, Bipin Joshi, 24, and Matan Angrist, 21. Matir Asurim, freer of captives, return all those who are kidnapped to their homes without the spilling of any more innocent blood, without any more souls being tarnished by horrific acts. Ba'al HaRachamim, master of compassion, help us to hold the humanity and the heartache of the Jewish people, of all the residents of the state of Israel, while also holding the humanity and dignity of the Palestinian people. As we are made in your image, remind us of your ways. Spread over us a shelter of peace and fulfill the vision of your prophets. They shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not take up sword against nation. They shall never again know war.
So I can't make a promise that you're going to see the Mishaberach list up there. Matt's having a little internet issue, and it keeps going on and off. So, he's got it now. Miracles never cease. So if you turn to page 253, we'll offer a Mishaberach for a prayer for those in need of healing. And we have a very big list that we'll see here, but I'm going to ask around the room. And so if you have names that are in your heart and mind and you'd like to share them, by all means do so. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit. And let us say, Amen. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So Shabbat Shalom. So in a moment, I'm going to call up our guest for tonight, just clearing everything off so it's more of a area everyone can see. And Margalit, I want to invite you up. Margalit Adelson.
Okay, I'll have to have, I'm okay. I'll have to have a table when I do the speech, because I have papers that have to, so. If you need to hold them, I don't know if that would be, yeah, I guess that would work. I have to hold this all the time?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, for anyone who's hard of hearing, it's important that they can hear. Do you want me to get a microphone stand for you?
Pardon?
Do you want me to get the stand so that it's...
Well, yeah, I'd like to stand when I do the speech, but right now it's okay.
Okay. So over the next half hour or so, the two of us are going to be in conversation. I'm going to hold your book up for a second for everybody to see. This is Margalit's book. It's called I'm a Palestinian Jew, and it's about her experience being born in 1930 in Palestine, and about basically the history of growing up, right? Because it would have meant that when Israel became a state, it was 1948, meaning her whole childhood was spent not in Israel per se, but in Palestine, and about the experience of living in pre-state Israel and what she learned and what she gained from that. And so Margalit spoke to our seniors group, was it about 2 years ago, something
About
like that?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And they loved her. And so I said to her, we'll have you here at services. And it was always my hope to be able to have her right around Israel's birthday, right around Yom HaAtzmaut, because it's about to be on Wednesday night into Thursday, Israel's birthday, the anniversary of Israel becoming a state from 1948 until today. And her generation is disappearing in the same way that Holocaust survivors are disappearing, right? And so to be able to hear a firsthand account really of what it felt like in that moment for Israel to actually become a country, to become a state, is a pretty profound, wonderful thing. And so for the next half hour, we're going to be in conversation together about that very moment. So 1930, you were born. I'm wondering if you can kind of describe a little bit about, what was childhood like for you growing up before the War of Independence, before Israel became a state? Pick a random year, whether it's 36 or 39 or 41. Like, what were those pre-state days like for you?
First of all, I want to say that Hadassah Hospital wasn't in existence yet. So I was born in the doctor's private home. He had, I guess, a room there that was his office, and that's where I was born. And I grew up as a child, probably like any other child. I didn't know anything else. We lived in Jerusalem. We had a big yard, and when I started walking and running around, I would run in the yard. Everything was actually normal, except for times. There were times in which Arab attacks were anticipated, and then my father would tell me that we must open our house to people that are flying from mob attacks. And I used to ask him, are these people our friends? And he'd say, no, it's probably people where the attacks are happening and we might not know them. And I always asked, so where would they all sleep? And he would tell me, our bed is big, and we'll sleep like sardines on the bed.
So what you're ultimately describing is, right, there were uprisings and there were major riots that were happening, Arab riots from 1936 to 1939, which means that you were 6 to 9 years old during that period.
In 1933, when I was 3 years old, there were rumors of Arab attacks are going to happen. And these attacks were orchestrated by the Mufti, the leader of the Palestinian Arabs.
So tell me a little bit. Let's back up for a second, because we're going to get to conflict later, right? We're going to get to the War of Independence. I want to understand kind of like, what was your school like? What were your friends like? And reading your book, one of the things I noticed was that there was a kind of scrappiness to your childhood, like the kind of things that the amenities that we really enjoy today. You were washing your own clothes. You didn't really have refrigeration. It was a very different time then. Paint us a picture of that.
So at the time, there are definitely no computers. We didn't have a refrigerator. We had an ice box. We had an ice box, and sometimes a cart drawn by horses would come by, and my mother would buy a big block of ice from the cart. But sometimes they didn't come, and we would have to go to the ice factory and carry the ice block. So we didn't have the convenience, or my mother didn't have the convenience of having a refrigerator. And I grew up like that. I didn't know there was anything better. My mother didn't have a washing machine. There was an Arab woman that came every week or every 2 weeks. I'm not sure about that. And she sat on the outside of the front door and did the wash by hand. So my mother would put out uh, a big pot, huge, not a pot, but a big, I guess, a tub of water, and try to heat it up, and that's the way the Arab woman was doing the wash, and I loved that woman because she used to talk to me in Arabic. I didn't understand anything, but I understood the rhythm of her of the wash and the rhythm of her talk.
One of the things that I noticed from your book was that there was a little bit of a dissonance, right? There was a little bit like you lived in a pretty mixed neighborhood, Jews and Arabs near one another in Jerusalem. You interacted with your Arab neighbors, and you had really good relationships with a lot of those Arab neighbors. And at the same time, in that pre-state period, there was still uprisings and violence and fear. And it was just very interesting to read your book and to see that, like, on a one-to-one basis, you had beautiful relationships with your Arab neighbors growing up. Would you say a word about that?
So it wasn't a mixed neighborhood, but the Arab neighborhood wasn't that far away. It was just a walking distance. And Arabs would walk from that neighborhood, it was called Musrara, and to downtown Jerusalem. And that was a common thing. My school was right on the border of Musrara, very close to the Arab neighborhood. And at times when there was tension and there was fear of Arab attacks when I went to school, if I was the only one walking, if I was late, or if I stayed after school a little longer, and there were Arabs going back and forth, I would be afraid that someone would take out a knife and hit me, or that there would be some kind of a bad word. So it depended on the time. There were times in which Arab attacks were anticipated, and there were times in which it was quiet, and we had good relationships with some of the community near us.
And one of the things that you spoke about, actually, is that, at least from the way that you write, it seems like one of the things that you worried the most about when you were a kid was not necessarily the Arabs around you. It was actually the British soldiers and what it meant to live under Britain. And I'm wondering if you can say a word about growing up, your relationship to the British Army, to the British soldiers, to the British, mechanism, and I'm not talking Israel in general. I'm talking you specifically growing up in Jerusalem.
So I was traumatized when I was 4 years old by an attack of a British drunk soldier on a man on our street, probably outside our house, because in the evening there was a knock on the gate to the walk to our house, and someone was calling my father's name. My father ran to the gate to see what was happening, and my mother pushed me into a corner of the bedroom, and she went to the door to see what was happening, and I sort of went away from where my mother had put me in order to look through a window and see what was going on. And what I saw was a man, my father opening the gate, a man coming in. He was bloody, his face was bloody. He was holding something in his hand. And I realized that it was an eye that he was holding in his hand. A British policeman had attacked him. He was, I guess, a drunk British policeman attacked him and took out his eye. And that memory stayed in my brain. even through my teenage years.
And
because walking on the street by myself, and it was always a quiet street, I always was afraid not of any Arab attacks, not of anything else, but a British drunk policeman or soldier.
And so you have this early experience, and you don't make the explicit connection, but I have to imagine that it had something to do with the fact that you eventually joined the Jewish resistance. Now, I want to say a word about that for everybody to know. So there were multiple underground groups at the time before Israel became a state. The two most famous are Etzel and Lehi. Etzel al Irgun, there's two words for it. And you at, I feel like 14, right?
Yeah.
At 14, began kind of doing covert operations and working with them. And there's great stuff in your book about you learning how to fire guns and learning what to do if someone were to throw a grenade at you. And first of all, I have to say, like, I was reading that book, and if I can excuse my language, I was like, she's a badass. But I'm wondering if you can say a word about your decision, because it was controversial, right? Not everybody decided to join these groups that were sabotaging railroad tracks for the British and things like that to try to convince them that they should leave. So tell me a little bit about that decision.
So that decision was not really a difficult decision. Even before I was 14, it was a time in which attacks on the British installations were constant by the underground organizations, by the Irgun or Etzel and Lehi. So after each attack, the Irgun would put a flyer on a billboard. Billboards were the way people communicated at that time. Death notices were put there, wedding notices, the weekly theater or movie schedule, and Irgun flyer was always there explaining the current attack and always ending with beautifully worded feeling of hope and strength and resilience and the really deep belief in the establishment of a Jewish state. And I used to read, I was before I was 14, I would walk to downtown, stop at the billboard and read the Irgun flyer, and it always inspired me, always sort of lifted me, and I felt this is something that someday I want to do also. So it wasn't a sudden decision, and my family also talked about the Irgun and what they were doing and supported it.
So now to fast forward to our main focus, which is the birthday of Israel, right? The statehood. Tell me a little bit about what those, let's start actually with November 29th, 1947, right? Which is the day that the UN voted that Israel should be partitioned, and there should be a state for Jews and a state for Arabs, and ultimately the Arabs in Israel rejected that, and there basically became a civil war until Israel declared itself a state in May 1948, where then they were invaded by all of the armies on the outside. But I'm wondering, when you were sitting around that radio, because I imagine you were sitting around that radio, where were you? What did it feel like when you were hearing that UN vote happen?
So I think the decision of the UN was something that we celebrated. The dancing in the streets started after the State of Israel was established. But we were looking forward to it. We didn't know how it would end. sitting by the radio, we counted how many countries voted for Israel's establishment and how many opposed. So it was very, very tense, and we didn't know what the result would be. But in the end, it happened. The UN called for the establishment of Israel with a majority of countries supporting it.
Now, so fast forward, you've now lived from November until May through a good amount of violence, right? There was, I mean, Israel really began fighting a war the moment that 1947, that vote happened, even if they weren't invaded by foreign armies until 1948. I'm curious, when in May of 1948, when you knew that Israel was going to be established, and at the same time you knew that as soon as that was going to happen, these foreign armies were going to come in, tell me about that fear. What was that fear like for you?
I think the biggest fear was that Israel didn't have the arms, the equipment that the other countries had. And at the beginning, there was one gun for 3 soldiers that they alternated using. There were a couple of tanks that Israel had. They were left from the British, and they would move it from north to south to east. They move it so that the Arab armies would think that Israel was so well equipped. So that was the biggest fear. Everybody joined the army. Even my father, who was about 50 at the time, he couldn't join the regular army, but he joined part of the army that did some kind of work for the army. And also, there was no food at the time. Jerusalem was isolated. Jerusalem did not make its own food, and coming to Jerusalem from the Tel Aviv area, where there were villages and farms, those supplies could not be brought because there were Arabs that were attacking those supply routes. And so it was something that we had to go through, not having food. We were lucky because we had a big yard, and there was some kind of a weed that looked like, was used like spinach. And my mother would make this, it was called in Arabic khubeza, and my mother would make khubeza patties. And that's what we had, and we didn't complain that, oh, we had it last night, we don't want it today. It was wonderful. So we were lucky that my mother knew how to find the khubeza among the weeds, and other people that didn't have a yard would go to the fields and gather the khubeza. So that's the way we survived until another road to Jerusalem was built. And that was just before the State of Israel was established.
So I'm going to read you a paragraph from your book that I found very powerful. And I'm wondering if you can just kind of react to it. This is during the war. I am in our home yard one day when I hear the sound of a bomb shot from a rocket launcher, possibly located in Musarara. I feel the bomb's passage through the air, practically over my head, and seconds later I hear it explode. It travels over our house in the direction of downtown and conjures a frightening conclusion. The thought that it must have exploded in front of my father's store races through my mind. I leave the house immediately, run through Abyssinian Street, cross the Street of the Prophets, down the long Rav Kook Road, cross Jaffa Road, and up the side street that leads to my father's store. My heart is pumping, my mind envisioning horrible scenarios and entertaining terrible thoughts adds to the physical stress which my fast running magnifies. I reach the store. The moment's sigh of relief and thanks to God lasts for a few seconds. The bomb did not fall on the steps of my father's store. The people in there are safe, but it exploded somewhere. I catch my breath, but I cannot stop. My gait is a little slower, but I am driven to continue. I run all the way up Ben Yehuda Street, cross King George Avenue, and go up Bitzalel Street. I cross a few more streets. Ahead, I see the carnage. So tell me a little bit about that moment for you.
So first of all, the anxiety that a bomb had fallen, and this bomb probably shot from Musrara, from the Arab area, that it fell by my father's store, and that my father was there and two other people that worked there. And so I ran like crazy to make sure that everything was okay. And when I saw that nothing happened there, I continued running and just got to an area where I saw an arm, just a loose arm on the road, and blood, and a little further on, more blood. And that was so traumatic to see exactly what that bomb had done.
One of the things that I'm thinking, just as I hear you speaking about this, you encountered something at the age of 4 that no one should ever encounter. You encountered something at the age of 18 that no one should ever encounter. There's a famous poem that basically it's about the Palmach, which is one of the fighting forces in Israel, but it's really just about your generation as a whole, which is we are the silver platter on which Israel was offered up, meaning like we are the reason Israel exists. And the kind of stuff that you had to go through for us to be able to have hummus on Ben Yehuda Street is pretty extraordinary. And I'm wondering, like being of the generation that really is the reason we have Israel now. I'm wondering if you can reflect back on that idea that you are the silver platter, you are the thing for which Israel is offered up to us now.
Well, I thought about that often because writing my book and then reading it after it was published, I thought about that I am privileged to have been a witness to the fight for Israel, the fight getting the British out, and then the establishment of a Jewish state. And I feel a lot of gratitude to have had this wonderful opportunity to be living at such a momentous time. So this has been something that I thought about often.
So our 30 minutes went by very quickly. And I wish we had more time, but I know that there are some people for whom they do need to go to Shabbat dinner. But I see your book out in front of you. And I'm wondering, I think you had a passage or two that you were planning on reading. Is there a passage you want to end with from the book to read?
A passage in the book?
Yeah. And if not, then just a closing thought before we go.
I think I'll talk about it, and I hope you get the book because you'll get an insight of what it was being part of the underground, the Irgun, and the tension that was I think you probably, Rabbi, felt it, the tension between Ben Gurion, the head of the Jewish Jewish population, and between the leaders of the underground. There was tension because they had the same goal, uh, having a Jewish state, but different ways of getting there. And there was always tension bordering sometimes on hatred. And at the end of the book, there's the Altalena affair, which happened after the state of Israel was established, and that was something that was a horrible thing, a horrible event that happened, and I'll just mention it briefly in the talk.
Indeed. For those who don't know, Altalena was a ship that was bringing arms. And the question was, where were the arms going to go? Were they going to go to the underground? Was all of them going to go to the Israeli army that was beginning? And ultimately, the decision was made to fire on the ship to keep it a kind of unified army instead of arms going to other places. And it was one of the tragedies of 1948, in part because it was like one of the it was indicative of a kind of division within Israeli society at a time when you don't want to see that. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. Don't clap yet. I still have my speech.
Oh, no, that was your speech.
That was it?
Yeah, that was
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
There was one question for you. Maybe you can answer as you're going back to your seat. I'll give you my microphone, which was who your great heroes were. If you were to say one or two of your greatest heroes.
I think my greatest hero is, and still is, Menachem Begin, the commander of the Irgun. He brought the Irgun to a successful fight against the British, was very effective in getting the British out of Palestine, and he has a fantastic footprint on the establishment of the State of Israel. So he's still my greatest hero after all these years.
So we're going to move toward the conclusion of our service. We rise together for Alinu, page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latet gedula liotzer breshit, shelo asanu kikoye haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo samchalkeinu kahem, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
We're seated together. Our thoughts go out to those who we have loved and who we've lost. As I call your loved one's name, I'll invite you to honor their memory, rising in their honor. This Shabbat, we recall the following individuals: Wynne Adler, Morris Becker, Samuel Berger, Samuel Cohen, David Edelman, Ruth Getzoff, Eva Gersh, Joel Goldberg, Joseph Jacobs, Eleanor Kaplan, Molly Kaplan, Samuel Kosak, Milton Lee, Abraham Maltonfort, Yetta Mandelkern, Jesse Marcus, David Marion, Sue Moskowitz, Mark Moskowitz, Jacob Neuwirth, Lucille Pauley, Jan Penny, Harry Rabinowitz, Benjamin Rich, Leon Rosen, Shana Rosenberg, Fanny Shapiro, Hyman Small, Carol Spencer, Deborah Kahaner, Weidenbaum, Irving Weiss, and Wendell Jacob Weish. And those who are in their Shiva and Shloshim periods of mourning: Claire Wegg, sister of Thelma Portnoff; David McDonald, father of James Fader; Jerry Grin, father of Stephen Grin; and Elliot Eisman, brother-in-law of Rachel Post. In addition, I'll invite you to rise and share the memory of your loved one if you're observing a yard site that may not have been on this list, or you are within your 1-year period of mourning.
Okay. Dina Elka Bat Shaya.
We turn to page 294 and we rise. Itgadal
Vitkadash Shemerabah Be'alma Divrach Hirute V'yam Nichmachute B'chayechon uve'omechon u'v'chaye duchol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'vizman kariv imru amen. Yehi Shemerabah mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitzmamam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemed kedusha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tishbechata v'nechemata
Damiram B'yama V'imru Amen.
Yehi shalom rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom b'imomav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, koshbetever v'imru. Amen.
Please be seated. So a few announcements before we formally finish. First of all, I want to just thank Marguerite again for her beautiful words and for teaching us so much about what it felt like in 1948. And so you can, of course, get her book. It's available where books are sold. I got it on Kindle. You can find it there too, on Amazon. In addition, just a number of other things. Tomorrow morning, our services officially begin at 10 a.m. We've got Torah study at 8:30. At 10 a.m., we're going to invite Daniel up to the Bima as part of his bar mitzvah. And so we are very excited for him and his family. And then on Sunday afternoon from 4:30 to 6:30, we're going to be having our Yom HaAtzmaut celebration. We've got food, we've got a band, and it's our way to really mark the miracle that is Israel, and to say just how happy we are that Israel exists.
Yeah.
In addition, we have one more Israel-related program coming up, which is that on the 12th of May, Noah Satah, who is basically the head of the ACLU in Israel, that's the best way to explain it, is going to be coming to our congregation to speak about the work that she's doing to promote democracy, free speech, all the things that we love here and that she cares about and that Israelis care about.
It will be
as
so
well.
interesting because we heard her speak already at Shomer Emunah, but it was about a year and a half or so ago. And so now it will be she'll have a whole nother thing to tell us about. She's incredibly brilliant.
Indeed.
has so much to add.
Finally, on the Israel front at least, if you haven't voted in the World Zionist Organization, the World Zionist Congress, please do that. It's only a little bit of time left, and so please vote. I'm running on the reform slate, but the most important thing is that you vote. And so vote for me or vote for others, but vote, 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 vote.
Make it count.
I also want to invite, if anybody is able to, I still think we have a spot or two left on our trip into New York City to two different art galleries. We're going to, the catalyst, the impetus was that Leslie Nobler has a piece in one of those at Hebrew Union College. So we're going to go with her. She'll talk to us about her piece. It'll also be docent-led, and we'll hear about the other pieces. And so we're going to start at HUC. We'll go to the Gray Museum at NYU, have lunch in between. I think we have 11 people going at this point, but we have room for more if people want to join us.
Awesome.
And
Yeah, what's the date, Rabbi?
Tuesday.
This coming Tuesday.
This coming Tuesday, the 29th.
I bet you're going to get a few people coming to that. Friends, we're going to close our tefillah with another prayer for peace, but this time we're going to lift it up with a wonderful melody. Some of you know, because we do it sometimes by a terrific Israeli band called Navatihila, an Israeli spiritual community. It's called Navatihila. So here we go. Thanks, Nelson. Shalom bimrama, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen, amen, amen. Now we sing on Yah, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la, 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 la 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 la. Ose shalom bimroma, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru amen, amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. I did forget one really important announcement. It's
Of
my
course.
constitutional obligation.
Yes, it is.
To tell you that on the 19th of May, it's our congregational meeting. We need to meet a quorum. Please come join us, not only to pass the budget and to introduce our new slate of officers, but also to hear about all of the amazing plans we have for next year, including where we are in our capital campaign. So thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thanks a lot. Great job. You're welcome. Do you string backwards or do you string the left-handed guitar backwards?
No, it's left-handed, but it becomes left-handed. But yes, I have to switch actually myself because I injured my hand a long time ago. But no, but it's backward. It's backward. Yeah. Yes, the left-handed. Yeah.
It's a right-handed guitar. He just
No,